A blue-eyed man in Korea with various titles including professor, actor, model, and civilian ambassador for Korea. Actor J.J. Graham calls Korea his second home. He first came to Korea as an assistant professor at Sungkyunkwan University in 2011. For over 10 years, he has been working with VANK, the voluntary agency network of Korea, to promote Korea to the world.
Unfortunately, a lot of foreigners, most foreigners don't really know anything about Dokdo. That's kind of the problem, and that's one of the problems that Vonk is so good in dealing with, in trying to clarify the issue of Dokdo.
Also, J.J. Graham is garnering attention as an actor with his remarkable acting in dramas and advertisements.
What kind of nonverbal communication would this character do? Help myself actually feel those emotions that are appropriate for the character or for that particular scene.
On today's Heart to Heart, we'll find out more about J.J. Graham and his activities that serve as a bridge between Korea and the world. Today's guest is a civil ambassador who has been promoting Korea to foreigners and anyone possible in many, many different ways. Joining me today in the studio is J.J. Graham. Welcome to Heart to Heart. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks, Jennifer, for having me. As she said, my name's J.J. Graham, and I've been living in Korea since 2011. And currently, I'm a professional actor, and I do a lot of social advocacy work for the NGO Vonk.
Okay, wonderful. So we'll be talking more about Vonk and, of course, your acting career. But first of all, you said that you first came to Korea in 2011. So this would be your 9th year, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What brought you to Korea back then in 2011?
Well, I was going to graduate school, actually, in mass communication and journalism, getting my PhD in the United States. And I met a fellow student who was Korean, and she was getting her master's degree in communication. We married in 2006, and then I finished my PhD in 2008, and then I was a professor in the United States for a while. And then we decided, after a couple of years, to come to Seoul, and I got a job at Sungkyunkwan University teaching mass communication and journalism.
Wow. Okay, so tell us more about VANK, the organization, and the kinds of work that they do, and the work that you have done with VANK as well.
Well, Vonk is a fantastic NGO here in Korea and has really had a lot of impact around the world as well. They were on the cutting edge, really, in the late 90s and early 2000s especially, of the use of what they called at the time Web 2.0. That is, using the internet as in an interactive way, right? Not just providing information, but also in the use of citizen diplomacy. It started out as a pen pal website with foreigners, between Koreans and foreigners, and it developed into cyber diplomacy and citizen diplomacy organization that really tries to go out there and provide accurate information about Korea, Korean culture, and Korean history.
So we'll be talking more about the work that you've done with Vonk, but I think through Vonk, was it that you were offered an honorary Dokdo residency? I know that you have is it a residency card?
Well, I'm going to show it to you just in case, to make sure that you know that it's official right here. There's my honorary Dokdo residency card. So pretty proud of that right there. So I've been interested in the Dokdo issue for a long time, ever since I met my wife in grad school, and she told me about it, and have done various things, especially editing a lot of material that Vonk produced in English about Dokdo. So I learned a lot about Dokdo, editing a lot of the material. But then a few years ago, Park Gi-tae invited me to be a VIP speaker at a Dokdo summer education camp. And so I went and gave this speech in Ulleungdo, And then we also went to Dokdo and visited Dokdo. So I think once you visit Dokdo, then you're eligible to get the honorary Dokdo residency card.
Ah, I see. I've never been to Dokdo, actually.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No,
you
I've
need to
only
go.
seen the islets, on television, in like books and magazines, and of
Yeah.
course on the web. What was it like for you when you first went to Dokdo to
Well,
see
you-
the islands?
Well, it was really exciting because, of course, I'd known about Dokdo for quite a few years by then, and knew a pretty good amount about Dokdo and seen a lot of pictures. And a number of people that I knew, they would do a Dokdo tour, but they would just get on a ferry and they would just boat by Dokdo. They wouldn't actually be able to land. So it was something special to be able to land on Dokdo and get off and then take a tour of the actual island. And so it was really exciting to be able to do that. I knew it was a special thing that I'd been able to get to do. And one of the things about Dokdo is it's so very picturesque. There are spots on Dokdo like that you just really want to get a picture of because it looks almost like another world. This otherworldly kind of a beauty. So really fantastic for pictures too.
Yeah, obviously. So once again, I've seen wonderful pictures of Dokdo, but
Yeah.
never been there myself. How do non-Koreans view Dokdo Island, though? I mean, I'm sure you have friends that have been to Dokdo Island, or even just, not actually been able to land or go on to the islets, but actually just, take a boat or ferry by it.
Unfortunately, a lot of foreigners, most foreigners don't really know anything about Dokdo. And then the foreigners that do know something about Dokdo, most of what they know is complicated by controversy and misunderstanding. And so they know about it as an issue of controversy because of a lot of historical misunderstandings out there. That's kind of the problem, and that's one of the problems that Vonk is so good in dealing with, in trying to clarify the issue of Dokdo.
What do you think might be a good way to kind of promote the importance of Dokdo Island to especially foreigners?
I think it's important then to get foreigners who are interested in Dokdo and know about Dokdo and give them a platform to be able to speak to other foreigners about Dokdo. I think it's one thing for Koreans to talk to the rest of the world about the issue of Dokdo and the history of Dokdo. But I think it's another thing then to have foreigners who are interested in it and to be able to talk to other foreigners.
Right.
So for instance, I'm an American, and an American to talk to other Americans about Dokdo, that's going to increase the chances that that audience there is going to be able to understand it and learn about Dokdo and the actual history.
You obviously not only have an interest in Dokdo Island, but also you seem to have a lot of interest in InterKorean Relations.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
tell us about that. I mean, what sparked your interest in these areas? Of course, Dokdo you just explained to us, but what
Yeah.
about in terms of InterKorean Relations?
Well, with the InterKorean Relations, that issue actually is the one that I'm most interested in because I see so much potential in unification. I look at the history of the division of Korea, see it as a real advancement, not only for Korea, but also for the Asian region and the world as well. Through Korean unification, there are a lot of different kinds of benefits, but definitely political stability. A lot of people around the world, when they think of Korea, they think of political instability. Korea has a great reputation, but it's not as strong of a reputation as it would be with a unified Korea. There's also fantastic economic benefits as well. That if we could open up a free trade market, China, a unified Korea, and Japan, that would could become an economic engine for the rest of the world.
So you have done a lot of work to promote Dokdo Islands.
Okay, yeah.
Also, work related to InterKorean Relations, Unification, and also to raise awareness of the declaration of the March 1st movement
Right.
of Korean independence. Vonk actually has started producing videos of the
Yeah.
declaration. And you took part in
I
Vonk's
did,
video
yes.
production. So tell us about that. What was the experience like and how is it?
Well, that was wonderful because, number one, my background is as a professor in mass communication and journalism. And so I've always been interested in television hosts and anchoring news and things like that. And then number two, but then I also am an actor and became an actor. And so I always wanted to play the role of a news anchor. So finally, I got my opportunity to play the role of a news anchor, where the scenario is the news anchor comes up like it's a regular sort of a news broadcast. I'm playing the news anchor, and I introduce the declaration, or I introduce the March 1st movement and the anniversary of the March 1st movement, and I basically explain the importance of the March 1st movement.
I see.
But then after that introduction, then I go on and I actually read the Declaration of Independence, the Korean Declaration of Independence then. So that was fantastic to be able to play a news anchor and be a news
Right.
anchor, but also to do something very important, and that is to raise awareness not only in Korea but also abroad
Right.
about the March 1st movement and the importance of it and the impact of it.
Of course, compared to, let's say, 5-10 years ago, definitely compared to 20 years ago, so many more people know about Korea.
Yeah.
Of course, thanks to the Korean wave and, K-pop and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. But what do you personally think about Korea deserves more attention?
Korean wave, I think, shows that Korea has advanced economically to a point where they're an exporter now of culture, an exporter not just of, industrial products, but now an exporter of entertainment and the culture involved in the global culture industries. And so that, I think, is really a wonderful development and a great development. That's where soft power comes from, and that's the sort of thing that I think that is going to really help Korea continue to emerge as a global leader within the international community. So it's things like that that I hope continue to be focused on, rather than people thinking of it as a place of instability
Right.
and being worried about what North Korea is going to be doing. Two things: continuing to work on, exporting culture and entertainment. I think that's great. And at the same time, dealing with unification itself both of those at the same time, I think would continue to increase Korea's reputation and focus it on the things that Korea is really the potential for.
Right. So you've kept yourself quite busy in Korea doing many, many things.
Yes.
You, of course, were a professor in the States,
Yeah.
also in Korea. So you taught students, you've even written books. What else? You've appeared in TV commercials, even K-films, K-dramas.
Yeah.
So tell us all about this. It sounds very exciting.
Yeah, well, it has been exciting. I really do. One of the reasons I do so much work on behalf of Korea social advocacy is because I believe that Korea has given me a lot of opportunity. I came here as a professor of mass communication journalism. I was there at Sungkyunkwan for 6 years. That was really a great experience, and working at such an elite university and working with such great students. And while I was there, one of the things that I started to really realize from the students was that a lot of Korean students want to or aspire to get a job for a international company
Yes.
or work abroad. My wife and I thought, okay, well, let's write a book that is meant to or designed to help young professionals, especially, get a job for an international company or to get a job overseas. It's called Cheer Up Global Chew Up. We ended up doing a lot of lectures after we published that book for a variety of different groups and things, different kinds of people who were interested in the potential of sort of globalizing themselves in a way. So I have quite a strange or different career trajectory because I was just always going to be a professor. So 2011 to 2014, I was given an opportunity to be on a show. They wanted me to play the role of a professor. And I had never...
Very natural for you.
Yeah, which was good because I had never acted before. I didn't have any acting training. I didn't have any experience in theater, which a lot of people do. But I said, well, I would just play myself, you know? And so I did that and thought it would be a one-time thing. And I would say I could tell stories, you know, in the future. Yeah, there was this one time I was on TV in Korea, haha. But then, of course, I put it on Facebook that I did that. And some Korean talent agencies that specialize in foreigners contacted me and say, hey, we saw you. Would you like to try this again? And I said, well, sure, I could try. I've never done it before. And they're like, it's okay. We have a lot of people that are just beginners. And so I did that 2 years ago. I quit my very wonderful job at Sungkyunkwan University as a professor to be a full-time actor model. So for the last 2 years, I've been doing acting and modeling for the full-time.
Yes.
It's quite a different trajectory, but I think it's important to be open-minded and to be willing to be a beginner in things, and then the world different kinds of things can open up, and you never know what you'll end up doing or learning about or getting experience in. It was a long evolution, but a key part of it was my major in communication. I ended up teaching years and years of speech and presentation and doing my own speaking and presentations. The first few times that I was on camera, I wasn't exactly sure what to do, so I applied my speech and presentation skills to that. And I actually realized that acting and speech and presentation, they really share a lot of the same skills there, where it's not just about the verbal or the script, but it's also about the nonverbal, your gestures, your facial expressions, and things like that. There was a real overlap between communication as a field and then the practice of acting.
What are some of the most memorable moments that you've had as an actor?
Getting to play the character of Gianni, an Italian fashion designer.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I loved it.
on Woge Su Tailor Shop Gentleman with Lee Dong-gyun and Cha In-pyo. And I was a recurring character, so I was on 13 episodes of that. And it was a very popular, that was most memorable because I got to get a character that I could continue to develop over 13 episodes. And not only, and as they develop the story that I'm a part of. And so that was a great experience, and I'm really eager to get another experience like that where I can be a character, a recurring character, you know, in the narrative.
I also hear that one of the things that many, foreign actors find most intriguing about Korean entertainment is that, that bond that they build, that strong tie that they form with, fellow foreign, actors. So tell us about this. What is it like for you?
From the very beginning, I was a beginner. I realized I needed to create relationships with people that are doing it, Korean actors and foreign actors, so that I could get support and learn from them. And so I was really eager to go out and create relationships and talk to people and listen to what people said about their experiences so that I could learn the ropes. Then I began to reach out and develop relationships in other kinds of communities where things are acting related. So I take part in Seoul Players, which is a foreign theater group that puts on plays. And then I also am involved in Seoul City Improv, which does improv theater. And so by going out and seeking and creating these communities and these relationships, then you can learn from so many people and create a bond where everyone for the most part is really helping each other out. So now after 5 years, and it's probably because of my gray hair, I'll run into younger actors and people think that I'm this veteran actor, that he's been acting for 25 years, but they may have been actually doing it longer, but they see me and they think, oh, he's a veteran. And then so now I have a lot of young actors that come to me and want me to mentor them and help them out and show them the ropes. And I got so much help when I first started that I am so committed and so willing to help other actors out and to give them tips and things like that to get started. So that bond is important because you need those relationships, you need that community, because it helps you and it helps them and it helps the larger community and it helps the art itself.
As we are slowly approaching the end of our program, I'd like to ask you, I mean, since you have been in Korea, you've lived in Korea for quite some time now, on to the 9th year. What would you say are the biggest changes you've seen in Korea?
Some of the biggest changes really that I've seen really has to do a lot with what has happened to me in terms of my career and the things I've been doing, because I've seen a lot more of a focus on creativity and the creative industries, and then being global and international. And so there seems to me to be more and more of a focus and more skills and more motivation to be creative and to be global. And that's benefited me because that's given me the opportunity to actually be a part of the creative industries in a very global way. Why I get cast is because, like, I got cast on Tailor Shop, Wolgesu Tailor Shop Gentleman, to be an Italian fashion designer, you know, whose role in the story was to create a relationship between the Canale, you know, the fictional Italian fashion design house, and Wolgesu, the Korean one, and then create a partnership. At the very end, they've got the Canale Wolgesu Tailor Shop, right? And so that is a story of globalization, right? I see that focus on creativity in the creative industries and a focus on globalization. And I see that in my own participation in commercials and in dramas. And I see that also in a lot of the other foreign actors and models I see there. So I think that's really great. And I think that's a great step. And I think that's a change. And I think and hope that Korea continues to do that, continues to show their creative abilities to the world.
And my final question is, what are your plans for the future? What plans do you have in mind?
Well, you know, I have a lot of plans, actually. So, of course, I'm going to continue doing the acting and modeling. You know, I love doing that, and it's really an exciting development for me. I have been also lately doing some menswear modeling. I've been working on some posing skills lately, you know, so I could do a little bit more of that as well as acting. But I also, too, besides sort of professional concerns, I'm still going to continue to work with Vonk and do social advocacy work for Korea. And I really want to get involved more in the unification efforts. You know, because I'm a expert in public speaking and presentation, I would very much love to be able to go do speeches and presentations in the United States or around the world to foreign audiences about the benefits of unification, the political and economic benefits of unification. I'd really love to be able to partner with the Korean government or NGOs or Korean corporations that really want to go out there and support among the global community for unification. And I'd love to be a part of that. So those are some of my plans and some of the things that I want to do and I want to work toward doing.
Sounds very exciting. Sounds like a very long list.
Yeah.
Long list of things that you hope to do. I wish the best of luck, and I'd like to thank you once again for coming on the show. It was a very interesting and wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.